gets the second half start.
It's a big play here.
Surveying the field, fires end zone, touchdown!
Bama scores a touchdown, they win the game.
Circling back, drops! A disastrous first down play. Tagovailoa fires to the end zone, touchdown! Alabama wins!
I've never been happier in my life. Never.
One of the most spectacular finishes you'll ever see in a championship game. You are watching the SEC on ESPN. That was only a few short months ago, and now it's time for A-Day. The Alabama spring game, White versus Clemson from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, on a gorgeous and sunny 70-degree day. And with that, we say welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Adnan Burke, fueling truth to the rumors. People will only work with me as long as they don't have to share the booth with me. Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway are here, but they will be our analysts on the field. Holly Rowe is also along for the ride. The one question everybody wants to know when it comes to Alabama, yeah, we know about 5 national championships in the past 9 years, but who's going to be the quarterback come September? We're a long ways away from that. For now, let's hear from Nick Saban with Joey and Herbie. Guys?
Coach, here we are at another beautiful A-Day, great weather. So much talk about your quarterback situation, but once again, you're breaking in 2 new coordinators in Loxley and Lupoy. How have they done this spring?
Well, I've been really pleased with, the way our whole transition is going. We've got 6 new coaches. We've got a new coordinator on both sides, offense, defense, and special teams, actually. It takes a little while for them to get adjusted to doing things the way you want, and it takes a little while for the players to get adjusted to them and trust them, but I think that transition is going extremely well for us.
Coach, you've been through a million spring games. What's the key? What do you hope to accomplish today as you move forward into camp?
Well, I think number one is you don't want to have any bad things happen, which the worst thing would be, somebody getting injured. But what I want to see is guys compete, and I want to see them compete at the level that they need to compete at next year when they play a good team next year, and that should be their focus. I mean, we want to take care of each other in a game like this, but I really do want to see the guys and how they compete.
Coach, you guys have been fairly successful in the last 3 years. How much would you attribute to the fact that me and Herbstreit come to the last 3 spring games? How much has that helped you guys during the season?
Well, actually, the coaching points and tips that I get from you guys are endless. So that has been very instrumental in our success, and I appreciate both of them.
We appreciate that, Coach.
Always knew those guys were vital. Also love the double microphone on Nick Saban. Let's go over to Holly Rowe with 1 microphone.
Well, guys, one of the second most intriguing questions about Alabama this season will be their young secondary. They lost 6 of their top contributors, including their chess piece that they could move all over the field, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, the junior, is on to the NFL draft, and we'll talk to him today. He's here as one of the captains. But the real questions remain is who will step up. Deontay Thompson is one kid that you can look at. He's the most experienced player in this secondary. He started the last 2 games, including the national championship. But think about that. Those were his only 2 starts of the year, 25 tackles, 1 interception. Javon Diggs has had an injury this spring that's affected some of his practice reps, but they're looking for him to contribute. Xavier McKinney is a great player. Savion Smith, I just got my first look at him. He's a JC transfer. Long, lean, he definitely looks the part. He was a high-level recruit for LSU. 4 guys who are not participating in this spring game, guys. They say they all look the part. They will come into school in May, so secondary, big thing to keep your eye on today.
No doubt about it, Holly. Wholesale changes, as you mentioned. The top 6 starters are not playing now for Alabama, the 2018 version of the Crimson Tide. So the Crimson winning the toss, they will receive. It's the Crimson team versus the White team. Referee today, Steve Marlowe, who's an SEC official and the SEC crew, and we are underway here at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Henry Ruggs to return, and already hear the first whistle of the day. Well, Jalen Hurts, what's he done so far at Alabama in his young career? He came on explosive right out of the gate. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, 6'2", 218 from Houston, Texas. And he certainly has been great. 26-2 in his career as a starter. But the big question, despite the fact he's been so much a part of the offense, 61 touchdowns responsible for, is the way Tua Tagovailoa played in the national championship game. The Crimson team first, so that is not Jalen Hurts' team. Mac Jones is the quarterback there. Brian Robinson Jr., the running back, with the first carry of the day. And Mac Jones here could be important for this team, guys, depending on what happens with Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. Mac Jones today would like to impress.
And I think we don't talk about Mac Jones enough and how important this spring is for him. We talk about Jalen Hurts and Tua. Imagine if one guy wins a starting position and the other guy decides to transfer. All of a sudden, Mac Jones is your backup quarterback, and you get playing time at the backup. So this is a huge spring for him to prove to these coaches that he can be that guy just in case one of the other guys transfers.
Yeah, and I knew you had talked about that possibility, and the one thing I can tell you about him, talking to his coaches, he's got a great competitive spirit and actually throws the ball really well. He's very underrated. People don't know a lot about him because there's so much focus on the other two quarterbacks.
And Herbie, I'd always suspected, but now I've confirmed that Joey is an avid Bleacher Report fan, because that was the story that came out this week, that Jalen Hurts' father had said that if Jalen is not the starter and if he transfers, he'd be the greatest free agent in college football history.
Well, something to think about. Yeah, something to think about, though, is if we'll talk more about this throughout the broadcast.
You see the catch there made by Major Tennyson, the tight end.
One thing to think about is if Tua is announced as a starter at some point before the Louisville game, Jalen Hurts could stay enrolled at Alabama, graduate in December, because he's on pace to graduate in December, and then transfer after he gets his degree and not have to sit out, and he could play. So that's a possibility. I mean, this thing's a long way to go, by the way. I mean, but the assumption anytime any high-profile quarterback doesn't win a job is they're going to transfer. So his dad saying that wasn't necessarily surprising news.
And guys, I love what Nick Saban said. You know, Nick obviously spoke with Jalen and his father Saturday. They had a good conversation about it. But Nick told both of these players, look, if you get to an NFL camp, you're going to have to compete for a starting job. This situation is going to help you in your further football career. You guys just have to, you know, get used to the competition. Don't run from competition. It's healthy.
Certainly embrace the task that's at hand for both of those young men. Second and 6 here for Mac Jones on this first drive for the Crimson. Brian Robinson Jr. gets the handoff, but he's tackled back with a Brian Wright.
Let's talk a little bit about Brian Robinson, because as we know, they're stacked in the backfield. Even with the loss of Bo Scarborough, they still have Damian Harris, who's an incredibly talented back, Najee Harris, who everybody knows about, Josh Jacobs, who's dealing with a little bit of an injury, and then Brian Robinson in there at number 4. I'll get news for you. Brian Robinson at 6'1", 220 would probably start at most places in the country, and the coaches rave about him when you bring up his name.
Jones here looking to the sidelines, incomplete to Miller Forrestall, the tight end.
In fact, of all the names I said, give me a guy off the radar. Every guy that I asked that to on the offensive side, every one of them brought up Brian Robinson. So just a back to think about. And as we get ready for camp in August, a guy that they're still 4 deep in that position.
They've always been a place where they have running backs. We've talked about quarterbacks over the years. We've talked about defensive backs over the years. Alabama reloads at running back better than any other school in the country.
Damian Harris back once again for that Alabama running back core. He'll be the veteran, trying to become the 6th Bama running back with multiple 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Of course, we cannot wait for the NFL Draft on ESPN for the 39th straight year. It'll come to you from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, April 26th through the 28th. Trey Wingo hosting alongside Mel Kiper Jr., Louis Riddick, and yes, Kirk Herbstreit. Herbie on it for the first time. Nobody covers the NFL Draft like we do. All 3 days are also streaming live on the ESPN app. Herbie, I'm sure you're fired up for this, man.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait. College game day, 2-hour pregame from 4 to 6 locally, so 5 to 7, and actually 4 to 6 East Coast time, and then we'll get ready for the draft. And I know Joey's going to be involved in draft coverage as well.
Oh, wow.
I'll be honest, I'm disappointed in Adnan for not mentioning the fact that on ESPN2, I thought we were better than that. Would you like to give us a shout-out, Adnan?
Joey, you know I'm an ESPN snob, but I'm very proud. You'll be better at draft coverage at ESPN2. I just read the cards they give me. You know that, my man.
Well, here's a look at Jalen Hurts for the first time, along with Damian Harris, who looks even better than he did a year ago. He's put some good weight on with Scott Cochran, the strength coach.
Hurts here buying some time and throws it incomplete. You're right, Herbie. We met with Damian Harris yesterday, the four of us, and he's trying to become the first Alabama running back with 3,000-yard rushing seasons. And he's a guy who has an outside chance of beating Derrick Henry's record. He did about a 1,400-yard season, but he's obviously a real talent. And the fact he decided to come back to Tuscaloosa, that's great news for Nick Saban.
And I loved what he talked about why he came back. It's not about NFL stock or any of that. He wants to be a leader. He felt like it was my turn to be a leader, and I didn't want to miss out on that opportunity.
Hurts here incomplete as the pass is batted down by Mack Wilson. And speak about guys who can be huge difference makers for the defense this year. They're counting on Mack Wilson, the linebacker, aren't they?
Linebacker was a position that toward the end of last season, because they were dealing with so many injuries, they had a chance to play a lot of young guys. Mack Wilson's one of those guys that by the end, he was one of the leaders of this defense. He played well, and it's like the last few games of the season, he just took off and shown what kind of player he is.
You're not kidding, Joey. He had a career-high 12 tackles in the 26-23 win over Georgia, giving the Crimson Tide its 17th title in school history. Let's go down to Holly Rose. Speaking of that new-look secondary, here's a guy who was a huge part of it in the past. Holly?
Well, guys, I like to call Minkah the chess piece. He played 6 different positions last season at different times throughout the year, and I love that versatility. When you're meeting with teams leading up to the draft, what are you telling them about where you can play and what you can do for them?
I really don't say too much. I mean, usually the team, they ask me what I'm comfortable at. I tell them all the positions in the secondary. I did a whole lot in my past 3 years here, my past 3 seasons here. They understand that, but, it's up to the coaches, whatever they see on film. Some say corner, some say safety. So it's whatever the coaches feel fit, and that's it, really.
Are you selling yourself enough, Minkah? You're being too humble. Like, I want to shout from the rooftop, this kid can play anywhere. He's the perfect NFL secondary player because you can plug yourself in anywhere. Are you telling them that?
I just let my film tell them that. That's it. Ain't nothing I can really tell them that my film can't. So, if they ask me any questions, I answer them, and I just let my film do the rest.
Okay, take yourself back to your freshman season, getting in the install for the secondary. What are these young secondary guys going through right now with Coach Saban?
What they're doing, they just going through. Right now, it's we're just putting in the basics. We ain't putting in too many difficult things, but once the summer hits, that's when they start installing the harder defenses and stuff like that. And Coach Saban's gonna be pushing them, gonna be challenging them all summer, so they're gonna be getting better.
Well, thank you so much. Best of luck next week. We are totally rooting for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Holly, thanks so much. No doubt Minkah Fitzpatrick will be a name mentioned on the NFL draft coverage on Thursday, a safety who is so impactful at the college level, and we'll see what he can do at the NFL level. The Bednarik Award winner, Defensive Player of the Year. He was the Jim Thorpe Award winner in 2017 as the top DB and an AP All-American, first-team All-SEC. Scouts Inc. has him as a number 8 overall prospect, so expected to go in the top 10 in the NFL draft on Thursday. Here's 2nd and 8. Mac Jones has looked good in this drive so far. A 30-yard completion to Kedrick James, the tight end, and there's Ronnie Clark, the running back, picking up a few more.
For people just tuning in, Coach wanted me to make it clear that the Crimson has the offense. It's pretty much the 2s on offense going in against the 2s on the defense. And when Jalen's group's out there, it's the 1s against the 1s.
Good to know. 3rd and short. Clark's able to push ahead for the first down. In case you're wondering, that is a running clock. That's right. When it comes to spring football, obviously Nick Saban and company would like to reiterate as much of a game feel, but in terms of style, 15-minute quarters, a running clock, except for scores, penalties, change of possession. The last 4 minutes of each half will be 2 minutes. They must try and score, and the ball is spotted at the 30-yard line for kickoffs. On 1st and goal, Mac Jones hands it off to Robinson, runs out of territory, but then pushes ahead and almost is able to punch in before he's pushed out the 1.
And you can see the Crimson team has had success running to the right side. We're playing Warmack on that right side. They've done a nice job of moving the line of scrimmage, and you can see the success. We know how good Alabama is on defense. There's some question marks in the offensive line. Who's going to start across that front 5? You talk to Loxley, it is like, we got some guys. We're looking at some guys. We're trying to figure it out. But right now, the right side for this Crimson team, Scott Lashley at tackle, they've done a really nice job of opening holes.
And speaking of opening holes, Robinson's able to find one as he punches it in for a touchdown. So the Crimson, on their 2nd drive of the game, make it 6-0. As Joseph Belovas with the extra point, as Andy Papanastos has moved on to Tuscaloosa. So it's 7-0 for the Crimson right out of the gates. Big things expected of Mr. Robinson. And early on, looks good here for the Crimson team. Plenty more coming up from Tuscaloosa. Bryant-Denny Stadium right after this. To have you with us here from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. It's A-Day for the Alabama spring game as Nick Saban looking at his team. The Crimson already off to a 7-0 lead. 7-play, 63-yard drive in 3 minutes as Robinson punched it in. The 30-yard pass from Mac Jones to Kedrick James was the key play. You already hear the whistle on the play. Don't forget, NBA playoffs continue tonight. A doubleheader on ESPN. Rockets, Timberwolves, Game 4, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Thunder, Jazz, Game 3, 10 Eastern, 8 Mountain. Our coverage starts with the NBA Countdown at 7. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app. First round is presented by Mountain Dew Kickstart. How about last night? The Raptors lose to the Wizards. Adam Amin, PJ Carlesimo, great on the call. But the Cavaliers, 17-point lead at the half. And LeBron and company lose the Pacers, now down 2-1 in that series. So here's Jalen Hurts for the white team. Najee Harris out of the backfield. Harris gets the ball and is able to pick up 4 yards on the play.
You know, watching Najee run the ball, I haven't seen him since that night we watched him play late in that game in the national championship against Georgia. And just thinking back to that night, they had 6 true freshmen on the field that night, and the game-winning drives and those potential game-winning drives late in that game, and Najee Harris a big part of that.
Harris getting the ball again, and you're right, Herbie. All 6 of his carries in that game came in the 4th quarter, including that 35-yard run that set up Alabama for the field goal that cut Georgia's lead to a single score.
Coach, I mean, you're loaded in the backfield. What makes Najee such a unique back for you guys?
Well, just size and speed, very instinctive. You know, what we worked on all spring is he's great when he has the ball. What we're trying to work on is making him a better player when he doesn't have the ball. And I think that'll make him very, very complete.
Hurts
because he is an outstanding talent as a running back.
Bugs there tripping up Hurts. So Nick Saban knows how critical a guy like Najee Harris will be this year as he finished that national championship game as Alabama's leading rusher, 64 yards on 6 carries. The white team on 2nd and 14. Hurts this time again going to Najee Harris, and this time shows his pass catching abilities out of the backfield.
And as you look at Jalen Hurts in this first quarter, had a couple chances to go deep, didn't cut the ball loose, brought it down, and you see the swing pass. If you're thinking Jalen Hurts and you're an Alabama fan, you want to see his ability to go downfield with the football. That's where he needed to improve. Now, he got better last year. He needs to take that next step in being able to move this offense when they're put in positions where they have to throw the football.
Yeah, and one of the things about his development, he does have a quarterback coach. Coach made a good point about Dan Enos coming in from Arkansas and how much he's helped him work on his development and trying to improve in the areas that you're talking about. You know, in the past, in the first 2 years, the quarterback coach has been the coordinator. So when the offense went on another field to work, he would lose his quarterback coach and some individual drill work and some of the fundamentals. He now has that with Dan Enos, which I think will improve his game and Tua's game and the other quarterback's game as well.
One of the biggest questions is, can you teach a quarterback to throw people open?
Right.
And that is the difference between guys like Tua, who have the ability to read a defense and throw a ball like he did at the end of the game, versus cover 2. Nobody throws a deep ball versus cover 2.
Right.
But if you're a quarterback with confidence in your arm and realizing what this coverage is supposed to take away and who's playing the coverage, you take that shot.
Right.
Jalen Hurts needs to take that next step in realizing that I can throw guys open. So it's interesting to see, can quarterbacks develop in that area?
I think he still predetermines. You know, we'll see, you know, this year if he's improved in that area. But in the past, he would predetermine, or he would look at his primary, and if the primary wasn't there, he trusts his feet so much, he would abort. He would take off and try to create. And in 10 or 11 of the games that they played in, that's okay. But against the elite defenses, you just can't do that and function in the offense.
To further that point, guys, you see one part of Alabama's offense, they rarely get to the tight ends because Hurts doesn't go through the 3 or 4 progressions. As you said, if your first target isn't available, they'll just pull it down and run. There's Ronnie Clark of the backfield, speaking of running, picking up a few yards on first down.
Hey, guys, I think it's also interesting. There's been a bunch of spring games on ESPN over the last couple of weeks, and most of the games that I've watched, not all of them, but a lot of them I've watched, it's been one-hand touch or two-hand touch. And I wondered, with that being a trend, when we showed up today, knowing the reputation that Nick Saban has about being physical at all times, in the season and out of season, if they would tackle. And other than the black jersey, you're free and you're live if you don't have a black jersey on, which I love.
Oh, you gotta
I love it because honestly, that's a little bit of a bugaboo because with the
and a
scholarship
defensive
numbers,
attitude here.
Yeah,
a defensive attitude here in Alabama. Defensively, I would be surprised if they could get their defensive players to just two-hand touch.
I know, but other teams pride themselves. Ohio State and others pride themselves on being physical. But you turn on their spring game, and they're touching each other to avoid injury. And Alabama, they're full go.
See the play there made by Brian Ray as it was batted down.
You catch that?
Yeah. Big
Pretty athletic play here, yeah.
Big fella.
The run after the catch wasn't what they were looking for.
But quick hands, Galloway. That's what you need.
Yeah, give the big man credit for at least catching the football.
Oh, whoops, my bad.
I seriously thought Herb was about to catch the punt.
I was going to return a punt.
I was about to say, we'll find out what exactly the bad was, and if we can get video of what Herbie may have done just moments ago.
Okay, Joey, that's all you know.
Fair catch here by Trevon Diggs at the 43. Almost done with the first quarter. So take one more look here at LeBron Ray, the big man, heads up and quick hands. 7-0 right now for Crimson. There it is, the College Football Playoff National Championship Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper.
I'm surprised so far that we have not seen anything downfield. Last year in this very game, when it was 2 on one side and Jalen Hurts on the other, it was like they started off with
non-stop.
just deep balls going downfield.
I think Brian Dable that day, the new offense coordinator, wanted to make that a big priority. This, by the way, this is a perfect place to take that shot.
For sure.
Jalen Hurts leading the white team. Great field position at the 44. Instead, the handoff to Damian Harris, the senior running back.
Hey, Coach, are you guys allowed to go deep in this game? I feel like we're playing 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You guys allowed to go downfield in this game?
That's what I just told them. Throw the ball.
All right, from Coach Saban himself, we're going to start throwing the ball a little more here.
You can't beat that kind of insight. Well done, Joey. Let's see if it happens. Hurts drops back on 2nd and 5. Instead, dumps it off to Damian Harris. He's tackled by number 7, Trevon Diggs.
Coach, quick philosophy on tackling. We see all over college football the potential of injuries, and some of these spring games are just touching. I know you're not into that. Just your philosophy on tackling and being live in spring practice.
Well, we don't ever tackle live in practice. The 2 scrimmages that we have, we tackle. And the A-Day game. The only thing that we try to teach is we still teach the old-fashioned near leg, near shoulder type tackling where you're not using your head to create any kind of contact. So, and we spend a lot of time in individual teaching that technique because it's the safest technique relative to a player not having issues with it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Herbie, Coach Saban, thank you very much. It's the end of the quarter as Crimson right now leading at 7-0. But Jalen Hurts and the white team are charging. We're back with more after this. Crimson team versus the white team. So far, the Crimson team up 7-0, with Jalen Hurts and the white team are charging. It's a new coaching staff, a new offensive coordinator. Let's hear from him with Joey Galloway.
Hey, Coach, I just had a word with Coach Saban, and he said you guys are allowed to throw the ball downfield. You got anything on that script that's going to get us some deep balls in here?
I got a lot on the script to get us some deep balls. We had to have a little better field position. You know, we had our backs to the goal line there, and we had a negative play, so we were trying to make sure we did a good job of. Oh, it's a pick.
You're playing field position in the spring game?
Only right there, but we're about to air it out for you right now. Here we go.
I appreciate it.
All right, Joey, thank you. All four of us visited with Coach Loxley yesterday. He's got a good sense of humor about him. He knows everybody wants to know who's going to be the quarterback, but as he said to us, Herbie, it's not up to me. It's only up to one man, and that's Nick Saban.
Can't block
24, 92 there, Quinn Williams. Yeah. When,
a couple years ago.
yeah. They're getting after it. Coach just talking about, I don't know if you guys could hear him, just how much better he feels about their ability to rush the passer, especially once they get healthy.
Can it get better? Can it get better than it's been?
For him with the injuries last year, I mean, they feel like the guys that are back from the injuries, some of the younger players that are coming on. That was Quentin Williams, who, by the way, got the sack on that previous play. Nobody ever talks much about him, and he could be a big, big part of their defense in 2018.
It has been a defense that has been formidable for years. I mean, last season they led the FBS in total scoring and rush defense. They've done it 4 times in a 10-year span. They've led in total defense in 4 of the 10 years and top 10 in every season but one. That's Tosh Lupoy, who is the new defensive coordinator for Nick Saban's team, although he says he's been wanting to do this his whole life. He looks like a fresh face, so maybe once he was in the womb, we already knew he wanted to be a Crimson Tide defensive coordinator. He gets his chance now, although he has called plays in the past. Here's Mac Jones. Complete that to Brian Robinson Jr., who has the 1 touchdown of this game, and there has a big game past the 30.
How smooth is Robinson with the ball in his hands? Seriously, and he's a guy, and Kirk, you mentioned him earlier, we don't talk about a lot, but how smooth was he catching the ball, throwing the move, and then re-accelerating around the corner?
Well, he's known as a guy with power, but, man, from down here, he just glides, and he's got great acceleration up the field.
19-yard gain there for Robinson.
I like that Mac Jones is decisive, man. He gets back, he makes his read, ball is out. It's one way to
Absolutely
avoid.
Say he's making the most of his,
yeah.
in this game, he's making the most of his spring with his reads.
I like how quick his decisions are, and I like the fact with the way Alabama can rush the quarterback, he's getting the ball out.
5-yard gain there to Xavier Marks. Once again, Jones not wasting any time. This time going downfield.
Nice ball.
Good chance with Xavier Marks just off his right hand.
And that's a nice throw by Mac Jones. You put it to the outside. Yeah. You want it over your right outside shoulder if the quarterback's throwing it from left to right. Nice throw. There was their chance at a big play. We just talked to Loxley about going downfield. He said this is the drive they're about to air it out.
They got him listed at 6'2", 199 pounds.
Mac Jones so far 7 of 10 for 67 yards. See if he can compete here on 3rd and 5. Over the middle, he does. Catch made there by Chadarius Townsend. And Townsend breaks a tackle, and he's off. Chadarius Townsend is off to the races for the touchdown. A 65-yard touchdown. Jones to Townsend.
That's how you make a name for yourself as a young receiver. And, you know, they feel pretty good, I think, about their top 3. But when you're trying to get into that top 4 or 5, and when you were giving Loxley grief about throwing the ball, I actually asked him, do you have anybody that can get downfield? One of the first guy he mentioned to me was Townsend. There's an indication of what he can do.
And Coach Saban mentioned they don't have receiver depth in this game.
Yeah.
Some guys aren't playing. But you're right. Guys like Townsend, bring him in, break a tackle, and score a touchdown.
Yeah, that helps you.
Watch the speed, the break the tackle, and then the acceleration to get in the end zone. Crimson team going downtown.
Galloway taking us to break. Yes!
New ESPN app. Now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
We continue from Bryant-Denny Stadium here in Tuscaloosa, the Alabama spring game, and a couple of touchdowns already for the Crimson team as they lead the white team 14-0 here early in the second quarter of play. Henry Ruggs a third to return it. And you see the play is whistled dead. Let's go down to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, if you thought the quarterback competition was interesting now, just wait until next year. Earlier today, on the steps of the stadium outside, Tua Tagovailoa's little brother, Taulia, committed to Alabama. Now, their whole family has relocated here from Hawaii, and he's been playing quarterback at Thompson High School here in this area. So another Tagovailoa added to the quarterback mix. Now, he's committed. I don't know if he would join this team as a quarterback or not, but just a kind of fun thing for A-Day today.
There's Tagovailoas everywhere, Holly. Thank you.
How committed is that family? I mean, Tuscaloosa is beautiful. It's not quite Hawaii.
You see Jalen Hurts there scrambling. 3 drives, couple of 3-and-outs, only 1 first down and sacked twice. But as for Tagovailoa, guys, he was so explosive in that national championship game. 3 touchdowns. He was instant offense after he was inserted in the second half and in overtime.
Back to the decision and what they're going to do. That's Jalen Hurts right there. Instead of having to throw that ball away, take a sack, instead he 1st and 10, he picks up 9 yards. I mean, that's what's great about his game. We really haven't talked about what we think they'll do, what we think they'll at some point. They're going to have, Coach just mentioned to us how they tackle in this game, and then they have 2 scrimmages in August where they go live in this stadium that's blocked off to everybody except family. And that's where they really make some of their tough decisions. That's where they're going to make the decision on who's kind of, as Coach likes to say, who won the team over and which quarterback will win the team over. That's when they'll find out.
And that's the most difficult part about for coaches to read. They can see a quarterback throwing the ball and his completion percentage, but the reaction of his teammates to a quarterback.
Yeah.
The starting quarterback is the guy that his teammates follow.
Right.
You know, and
right.
It is tough because Jalen Hurts,
he's 26-2.
He's taken his team to the national championship game 2 years in a row versus a guy that came in the second half, throws for 3 touchdowns, you win a national championship. So now as a team, you go into a spring and you got to watch how do your players react to who's in the huddle and who's calling the plays, and then who is operating the offense.
The intangibles are a huge part of this decision, not just the execution. If you go just by the execution, it's easy to fall in love with Tua and what he did and what he could do to this offense and the way he distributes the football. And the young receivers that they have, can you imagine what we saw in that second half against Georgia in the national championship? Imagine Tua doing that, throwing the ball around, hitting the tight end, hitting the receiver, finding the second and the third option, and the physicality of the running game with Damian Harris and Najee Harris and Josh Jacobs, Brian Robinson. I mean, that's what I think Alabama fans are like daring to dream about.
Damian Harris in the backfield gets a few yards.
Well, guys, we actually checked in with some of the teammates to see what's changed about Jalen this offseason, and some of the offensive linemen said, you know, he was knocked down a peg because of what happened in that national championship game. We all saw him handle that with such class and such grace, but he has become more humble. He's come back in the best shape of his life. They said that he's carrying himself a little different way, and keep in mind, this is a kid that is beloved in this community. He is out building houses with Nick's kids and doing a ton of stuff. People love Jalen Hurts here, so it adds a lot to this competition.
And one of the things they love about Holly is that ability to scramble. Once again, doesn't find open receivers, so he takes off. 26 yards there with his legs.
Around here for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3rd-team quarterback can move the team right down the field throwing the ball.
Yeah.
It is crazy. It's honestly crazy to think that a guy can rip off a 20, 30-yard run in a blink of an eye. But as far as the offense is concerned, that could be considered a negative. You know, if you're calling a pass play and you have your reads there and the ball is not thrown out, offensive coordinator-wise, Loxley looks at it and says, well, that's not what we wanted to accomplish. Now, we got 20 yards, 30 yards. We know we can do that. We need to see the ability to operate this offense throwing the football.
Just to make it abundantly clear for fans, Alabama fans out there, I think for him to win the job, it's not the scramble plays. In these scrimmages, he's going to have to find a second and third option on a consistent basis for him to win this job and to be able to hold on to it.
Najee Harris, by the way, nice little spin move. Go ahead, Herbie.
I mean, 26-2 in this conference, in these environments when you go on the road, you just don't poo-poo that. That's a lot you have to consider. But I think you also have to consider the style of ball that they play when Jalen is in the game. Defense, special teams, field position. Let's not lose the game at that position. Let's be smart. With Tua, much more aggressive, open up the entire
ceiling
playbook.
is higher. The ceiling is much higher throwing the football. And if you're Alabama, you know you're playing the Clemsons of the world in the playoff. They've been in the playoff 4 straight years. You know you're playing the Georgias in season and playoffs. And so it is those games where throwing the football may be the difference between winning and losing those games. We saw in the national championship game, struggling to move the ball, much like the white team here today is struggling to move the ball. It is a difference when you see this offense and they can't throw it. They can't get it downfield, and they understand that to win those games, to get to the top, to win national championships, we're going to have to be able to throw the football.
Yeah, and the game Holly did in the semifinal game, you probably would have seen Tua in that game if it weren't for, if you go back and really watch that game, how many times did you see Clemson start their drive inside their own 10-yard line? Alabama starting right here at midfield almost every drive. They were able to squeeze Clemson with defense and special teams and field position. They didn't need to throw the ball, and then it finally presented itself there in the national championship against a good Georgia defense. They needed the ability to throw, and that's why Tua finally got his chance.
Jalen Hurts play action there. Najee Harris rolling out. And this is exactly what you guys are talking about. Can he find that open receiver, or is he going to have to just use his legs to pick up the yards he can?
Yeah, and we've seen, we kind of bragged on Mac Jones earlier, talking about how decisive he was and how he's finding quickly, just finds that open receiver and the ball is out. I mean, that's what coaches, when they draw plays up, that's what they want to see, is you stay within the confidence. Now, if you have the wild card ability to scramble, that's not, you know, it's not something to take for granted, but they just don't want that to always be your first option.
Yeah, and if you're Jalen Hurts, you have to minimize the pressure. You know, there's a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts to prove that he can throw the football, and it'll get him into positions where he takes a sack down on the goal line. Offensive coordinators on third down, you take a sack, at least with his ability, the best play, get out of the pocket, throw the ball away. Don't take a sack in this situation. And now in his third year, those are the mistakes that you would love as a coach to see eliminated. You have to get rid of those plays, especially, and you're in a situation, you're fighting for your job, you can't do that on third down.
12th play of the drive there is Jalen Hurts sacked by Raekwon Davis. You talk about big-time players in this defense this year, number 99. Davis could be one of those. 33-yard attempt here. And the kick is good, so the white team is on the board. 14-3 as the Crimson has the lead. 4:10 left here in the first half. Brian Denny. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's A-Day here in Tuscaloosa. Crimson team leading the white team 14-3 so far. We've got 4:10 left in the first half of play. Jalen Hurts just led the white team on a 12-play drive that ended up with a 33-yard field goal. First offense they've been able to put together. Mac Jones has looked good so far for the Crimson team. Jalen Jackson back to receive. ESPN's Draft Academy, the State Park documentary, is a personal behind-the-scenes look at 6 of the top NFL draft prospects Available now on ESPN Plus and streaming exclusively on the ESPN app. Start your free trial of ESPN Plus today. The players featured, how about it? Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Minka Fitzpatrick, Shaq Griffin, Equinemius St. Brown, and Kyle Allen. Kirk Herbstreit will be part of our coverage on Thursday. Joey Galloway will be there as well. Herbie, how about it? Everyone wants to talk about the quarterbacks. Who do you think is going to be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft?
Who do I think, or who would I take?
Who would you take?
I would take Baker Mayfield. I'm a little bit on an island there. I get it, but he's a playmaker. He's accurate. He makes good reads. We're talking about processing defenses today with Jalen Hurts. That was his strength in college. Now, we'll see if it'll transition to the NFL, but we'll see that with all these guys. But if you ask me, I'd put Baker just ahead of Sam Darnold, in my opinion. But with the first pick, I would take Saquon Barkley, because I think you got to take the best player in the draft. He's a guy that can change the franchise. And then with the fourth pick, you get your quarterback if you're the Browns. That's just me. I know no one agrees with me, but that's what I would do.
Maybe Joey agrees.
I wouldn't say everybody disagrees with you, because I think Baker Mayfield is a heck of a quarterback. But I like Josh Rosen. If you have an offensive line and you allow Josh Rosen to stand in the pocket and throw the ball, he is as good as I've seen in a long time. Goes down. Maybe throws the best deep ball in anyone in college football. If it's clean,
you're
absolutely
good.
right.
If he's got some pressure.
NFL-wise, we're thinking pocket quarterbacks. We're thinking stand in the pocket and operate an offense.
I just don't think it's that way anymore. I think it's changing. I think the days of like when you were playing or Peyton was playing, and just like the Eagles and the Rams, I see more and more college offenses on Sunday as opposed to dropping seven steps and throwing.
Tom Brady does not want to hear you saying that.
But he's doing a ton of RPOs.
The good teams have quarterbacks that can stand in the pocket. Now you look at Carolina and Cam Newton, they can break the pocket and run downfield.
Russell.
They tend to take a beating at times. And toward the end, the guys who have won it have been the Tom Brady's that can stand in the pocket and operate an offense.
I agree, but I'm telling you right now, Baker Mayfield will be the next Drew Brees in college football or in NFL.
That is lofty praise. That is lofty praise.
That's where he's headed. That's where he's headed.
Has the ability.
You want to pass? You want to pass on Drew Brees?
But you also have to consider the situation. Let's just say Baker Mayfield goes to Cleveland. Not exactly the same as what Drew Brees has in New Orleans.
But if you get Saquon Barkley and Baker Mayfield.
We're talking about Sean Payton as an offensive coordinator. We're talking about a different style of offense. And a lot of these quarterbacks, unfortunately, when you look at it, the higher you go,
worse
the
situation.
team is a bad situation for a quarterback to succeed.
And for Cleveland.
You know what I mean?
They just can't get left.
You're absolutely right. And so if you take a Baker Mayfield and you put him in Cleveland, you take Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold, it's going to take a few years. And the way things are shaping up now, these head coaches, they only have a couple years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a quarterback can get caught in a bad situation going in that top 4 range to a team that is not very good offensively.
Let's watch Jalen here. Let's make a little read from back here for him. Oh! Little slip screen. Get Damian out there in space.
Yeah, Damian Harris dropping the pass there. Well, we just saw Jalen's best drive of the day. We'll see if he can continue it here.
Are you rolling replays up there, Adnan? You've got the analysis if you are. We got nothing. We're down here. We're rolling around in the grass down here.
I figure you guys are testing me to see if I actually want to be an analyst. I lay out as we
We're going to break down MLB and the NHL playoffs in the second half, right?
I'm going to say your Blue Jackets locked up in a good series.
By the way,
Capitals.
they start at 2 o'clock today.
If we don't come back out for the second half, we might be inside watching the Blue Jackets play.
Reds are already down 2-0 to the Cardinals. There's your update on the Redlegs.
Brian Price fired after a
couple weeks.
Yeah, not great for Cincinnati.
No, we're going deep here.
Here we go.
Gotta get it up in the air.
As crazy as this sounds in the middle of spring ball, this is a huge drive for Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's crazy to think of it that way in April, but the way the offense has operated so far with Jalen Hurts, you talk about winning teammates back and getting back in there as the leader of your team. You need these drives, honestly.
But it's crazy to think a guy who's 26-2.
Yeah.
You can say that about, but it's true. I don't like his body language either so far from what I've seen.
And Nick Saban doesn't like his numbers so far either, boys. 5 of 11 for 27 yards so far. Here he tries to buy time in the pocket. Another incompletion.
That should have been intercepted
After
by
spring
Mac
ball, and I was
Wilson.
talking to Coach Saban about this, after spring ball, these guys are gone for 6 weeks. So this is the impression that you leave your team with when you take off for 6 weeks and everyone goes their separate directions. You know, and as a veteran, and you think about a guy like you mentioned, 26-2, 2 straight national championships, he needs to leave a better taste in the mouths of his teammates, his coaches, the fans by the end of this spring game as they split up for 6 weeks and you get no football. This is the last thing you get to see.
Especially,
you'd like to see him perform better.
Especially after the way the national championship game ended. And he's lucky that 13's not out here throwing darts. Then it would really look bad. Because 13's good at throwing darts.
Mac Jones is sitting on the sideline like, 13 who? Mac Jones is saying, put me in the conversation. Even the deep ball that was incomplete was a heck of a throw down the sideline. Mac Jones said, what about me?
Hey man, I'm loving what I'm seeing, but let's 13. Come on. I mean,
Mac Jones, I'm trying. I can't quite get it across, but
Tell you, Mac Jones owes Joey. He is stumping for him as best as he can. But to your guys' point, I think for Jalen Hurts, this was the case. If he was great today or abysmal today, that's going to be
Paul
impactful, right?
Feinbaum and the boys are going to go one way or another. What are the names of some of those callers? They're going to crank it up. They're going to Phyllis and the crew. They're going to be cranking it up for 5 months based on this performance so far. And this is not. Phyllis is not excited about what she's seeing right now.
I'm laughing because it's true. Fair catch there made at the 18-yard line. So make sure you join the Johns tonight. Anderson and Buchagras. They got sportsman after Thunder and Jazz. How great has Donovan Mitchell been? Tim Legler breaks it all down. Post-game reaction from Utah. Plus a look at Game 4 of the physical series between the Sixers and Heat. And Barry Melrose is in studio with analysis. 3 Game 5s in the NHL. The Bruins could knock out the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sports Center, 12:30 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. ESPN and the ESPN app. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, Kirk, you brought it up a little bit earlier about field position in that Sugar Bowl against Clemson. J.K. Scott has been a weapon for 4 years for Alabama and his ability to get great field position for a bad field position, I should say, for the opponents. But he's gone. So there is a freshman, number 10, just had a nice little punt there, Skylar DeLong. The recruiting services around the country have rated him anywhere from the number 2 to the number 6 punter in the country. I am told that Coach Saban really likes this young man. He's got a long lever, a little bit like J.K. Scott, not quite as tall, but placed a nice punt there. So good field position battles ahead for Alabama, it looks like.
Mac Jones, Joey's guy, right out of the gate. Unfortunately, cannot complete the pass, but decision making. Right was wanting to go right to Kedrick James, flag there.
Just talking to Coach there a little bit about some of these second-team defensive players.
Defense, number 43, 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Remember, we got an entire freshman class still to record in a couple weeks, in early May. So they're going to be there's a lot of pieces are going to be added to this defense. But just looking at this second-team defense, think about all the injuries that they sustained last year and how they had to count on that second team. I'd make the argument he did his best coaching job since he's been in Alabama last year, trying to navigate the waters with all those injuries and still being able to get into the playoff and winning a national championship. And that's why when I look at this second unit, man, these guys, they're going to eventually potentially play a big role.
And I asked Coach, is he ever surprised about where a team goes from spring to where they end up at the end of the year? Because last year when we were here, the question was we don't have that leadership on defense. We don't have those dogs that we've had in the past. And that team went from that feeling of we don't have leadership defensively to by the end of the year in the national championship game, they win it all. And I asked him, are you ever surprised in the progress that your teams make? And he said, no, not really. That is our process. We come in the spring with an attitude and some things we want to get done. And then when we come back and get back together after being apart for 6 weeks, then we start to hone it up and get ready for our season. So he's not surprised, but these teams come a long way in replacing all the players that they lose to the NFL.
Oh, Mac Jones there, and that ball is intercepted. Speaking of defense, it's number 21, Jared Maiden, the DB with the pick. So
He just misread that, put that one right over the middle. Easy play for Maiden to jump that.
Does the white team take a shot? That's the biggest question. Great field position, 30-yard line, 29-yard line going in. Is this the time when you take a shot?
Absolutely. Minute 35 left in the first half. Spring ball, let's do it.
Coach, do we take a shot here?
No doubt, man. I like a little RPO action right here, though.
We got to go downfield, Coach. We got to take a shot at the end zone.
It's Joey, the offense coordinator, Mike Loxley.
Go.
Yes. Devontae Smith, 5-yard catch.
Standing next to Coach Lupoy, you would think this was regular season. This is going against Georgia in the national championship. Defensive coordinator Josh Lupoy is as intense as I've ever seen a coach in a spring football game.
They like the effort there of the defense. Quinnen Williams, who Herbie mentioned earlier, rarely gets talked about, able to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. So timeout here, but just to further the point about the defense, this is a team that has 3 returning starters, and we asked Nick Saban about that. He said it's a little bit misleading because, as Kirk and Joey were mentioning earlier, so many injuries to Bama's defense, so guys end up seeing time that maybe they wouldn't be considered starters, but they played meaningful minutes, and they'll try to rely on that experience to try to carry through.
Quinnen Williams, again, it's easy to fall in love with some of the other players that they have on that defense and the way they can pressure the quarterback, Raekwon Davis, Terrell Lewis, but keep in mind Quinnen Williams when it comes to third downs next year for Bama. Joey, you made a comment and said, can it get any better? My point, the reason I bring that up is last year with the injuries, they had to blitz a lot to get their pressure. 2 years ago, when they had some guys up front, was Ashawn Robinson, Jaron Reed, they were able to get pressure just by rushing 3 and rushing 4, and I think they're more confident with not having to always blitz to get pressure. I think they've got some bodies that's going to allow them to be able to get home without bringing those linebackers.
Well, Belova's here for the field goal. This is 49 yards out. He's 1 for 1 from 33, and he's 2 for 2. And the crowd likes this. The biggest roar here, I think, from spring football in Alabama. They love the new kicker. But as you can see, a good snap and excellent form there. And Papanastos, who was criticized for his kicking woes. So far, Joseph Balubas, the 6', 218-pound freshman, Vanderbilt, Louisiana, endearing himself here to the locals. Have struggled with field goals. Last season, tied for 90th in FBS. 68% on field goals at ages 3 of 6 in the semifinal and national championship, and that's why I mentioned they aren't exactly shedding tears that Papanastos gone. Jalen Jackson there receiving it, goes a little bit past the 20. So with 53 seconds left here in the first half, one last chance for the offense. Mac Jones here. Incomplete to number 19, Xavier Marks. Well, the quarterback comparison with Hurts and Jones, this isn't the one everyone here is talking about. They want to talk about Tua versus Jalen, but so far today, Hurts has been unimpressive. 6 of 14 for 32 yards, and Mac Jones has looked good. Completion percentage is just 50%, 138 yards, and quick decision-making there, especially he goes over the middle to Xavier Marks. Nice play.
And that's going back to what Joey talks about, and we all talk about in college football. It's rare to see sometimes throwing into a space and letting the receiver run into that space, you know, throwing him open. Found a nice soft spot in his own, and the receiver ran a nice route.
And standing from behind where Mac Jones, from the same angle he was throwing the ball, not a lot of space to see through there. Just knowing where the receiver was going to be, reading the coverage, knowing that's the soft spot. That's what the quarterback needs to do, because you can't always see your receiver, especially behind some of these offensive linemen are 6'5", some of the defensive linemen 6'5", 6'7". You have to find those windows and those areas where you can squeeze the ball in even when you can't see the receiver.
And I would just add that sometimes as a quarterback sitting in that pocket, it's easier to make that throw, the outside throw, the outside read. It's, you know, there's a corner drop, you're going to throw it to the receiver underneath. As you come up, you go over top. That's an easy read. But as we've seen today with Jones, those reads over the middle take a guy that's comfortable in being in the pocket, and he's being able to do that, something that Jalen's not been able to do. Throwing over the middle of the field, that's a whole field read.
It's amazing to me how comfortable Mac Jones looks. He just looks like he's done it before. He just looks comfortable. Even last season when we were here during the spring game, we watched Tua, you know, in his first spring game, didn't have the same look of Mac Jones right now. Mac Jones looks like he's the quarterback that has taken his team and won a national championship. He looks that comfortable in the pocket.
6'2" quarterback, came to Alabama as a 3-star recruit from the Bowles School. He was originally committed to Kentucky, but then Jones flipped to Alabama in the summer before his high school senior season. And they like him in the locker room for his sense of humor, and so for they like what he's doing out on the field. He flew under the radar until his DUI arrest in November led to a 1-game suspension, but Jones said the whole experience is probably one of the best things that's happened to me because of the connections he made doing community service at the local soup kitchen. Saban not signing a passer for the first time in his Alabama tenure, and clearly getting a good look at what Mac Jones can provide today. Another timeout there with 5 seconds left.
Coach with a friendly reminder that with 1 timeout, 20 seconds to go, throw the ball away.
Not happy right now. Kirk, in the event we get coached before the half, you ask the first question. I don't want to be the first to try to talk to Coach right now. He's not looking happy.
No, he doesn't look happy at all. Eddie's in charge of the clock.
This should be fun.
Get in there.
And the 48-yard attempt is no good. So 14-6, the Crimson leading the white team at the half. And let's go down to Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway with Nick Saban. Guys?
Coach, first half impressions, what do you think?
Well, you know, some of the same things that we've been struggling with all spring. The offensive line and the passing game with the first group has struggled with the pass rush of the first defense. But the second defense has also been a concern in terms of their ability to execute, and I think both those things are showing up a little bit here today. So, you know, you kind of know where you are. You just work on trying to fix it.
So much talk about Jalen Hurts and Tua in the quarterback battle, but talk about Mac Jones and what he's looked like in the first half.
Well, I think Mac Jones is a young guy that, you know, is a really good player and he's got a lot of potential. I think he's got to learn because he plays a little bit like a freshman still, like instead of throwing the ball away there. So we got a better opportunity to kick a field goal rather than taking a sack. You know, things like that. But when it comes to just pure talent and ability to make decisions, judgments, and throw the ball effectively, I think he can do that.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, Herbie, Joey, thank you. And our thanks to Nick Saban as we're getting a good look at the Alabama team so far. Alongside Holly Roll, Matt Namford. Second half coming up. But first, let's go back to the studio. 14-6, Crimson's up. Back and more after this.
Nick Saban's first NFL draft class at Alabama was the 2008 group. Since then, 22 Bama players have been taken in the first round. That is 8 more than any other program has had. What does that mean for this year's Crimson Tide? It means the same thing as it means every other year. Younger, far less experienced players have to step in and not just be good, but be great. That's the standard Nick Saban has established since his arrival in T-Town. And while many experts continue to doubt year after year that Bama can actually do it again, the Tide does continue to do it again. Last year was no exception. Former Alabama quarterback Greg McElroy sits down with his coach, Nick Saban.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins! The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
All right, Coach, last year the message to the team was never waste a failure. This year, you're on top of the world after the national championship. How has this spring been different for you as compared to a year ago?
I think the challenge is to get everybody reconnected into what this team needs to do to be a successful team. The constant message is always, it doesn't matter how you did in the past. It doesn't really, we're not worrying about the future, but what are you doing today to help yourself get to where you want to be? So we're always talking about the standard, you know, trying to get people to understand what they're capable of.
There's Jalen Hurts, of course, who's 25-2 as a starter. Tagovailoa, who's the true freshman, who can throw the football well. And this game gets to a point where they're not executing at the line of scrimmage and they need to throw. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a shot.
The quarterback position's obviously going to demand a lot of attention, but I'd like to know what the relationship is like between Jalen and Tua.
There's a lot of mutual respect there that each one has for the other. They put the team first. They've been very, very supportive of one another, whoever had the opportunity to play. I think the other guy wants to see that guy do well. So I think it's a relationship that's built out of sort of respect and trust, and they've been really good for each other, I think, and I think the competition has made them both better.
What can they learn from each other?
We keep working with Jalen because he's such a great athlete and he can make plays in so many ways to sort of be more consistent as a pocket passer. I don't think the play action and the move in the pocket stuff is an issue at all for him. And he does a great job of taking care of the ball. He's got a lot of confidence in making the right choices and decisions. Tua is just naturally instinctive as a passer, but I think the other parts of the game is something that he needs to grow and develop in. But he was just a freshman, and he probably didn't play as much as maybe I would have liked for him to play to be able to develop some of those skills. But that's going to be the key for him, is to gain a respect for taking care of the ball. And like a lot of guys that are really good passers, you know, they think they can always make that throw. They think they can always get it in there. And that's good to a point, but you also got to be smart about when you take those chances.
A lot of known commodities on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, there's a lot more unknowns. A lot of guys playing for the first time in the role that they're currently in. What can you say about that unit as a whole?
I think the biggest thing that we're trying to get our players to do is, you know, play with the right sort of edge on defense, you know, the right intangibles, the right effort, the right toughness, the right control in the line of scrimmage. And a lot of that has to do with the up front guys. I mean, I think you set that tone with the up front guys. I haven't seen that happen like I'd like for it to, and that's something that we got to continue to work on.
Just being in practice, Coach, seeing the difference in the change in body types is amazing, because everyone's gotten leaner, they've gotten faster, they've gotten more quick twitch, they've gotten more agile. When did that shift start for you?
You know, a few years ago, we got hurt with the no-huddle spread. We struggled to stop that kind of stuff, and some of it was style of players. So to have guys that can play in space and can run things down from inside out becomes a lot more important. I mean, there is no wad ball, what I call wad ball, where, you know, everything happens between the tackles. There's very few plays like that. I think we played Clemson 2 years ago in the championship game. They had 38 plays in the first half. There was one inside run. So you need to have a different style of player, I think, to play against that type of offense.
You're no stranger to playing freshmen at corner. I think Dean Milner played as a freshman. Drake Kirkpatrick got some time, maybe not full boat of time as a true freshman. Kareem Jackson played as a freshman. You've had a bunch of guys that have contributed early to that position. You might have to rely on young guys again. How is it that you're able to get those guys up to speed in such a short period of time and play winning football for you?
Well, first of all, those guys are all pretty good players to start with. And they were all guys that had the right sort of disposition about trying to learn. These young players have to have the idea in their mind that they have to learn and they have to develop. And they can't just come here and step in and think they're going to go out there and dominate the competition. There has to be a respect for doing things correctly and maybe improving their technique and how they play things. But we're going to have some of the guys that we recruited this past year, which we think are some pretty good players, that are going to have to contribute in the back end.
Finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. I was out of practice. I saw you throwing it as good as you've ever thrown it. Best interception arm in the business still?
No question.
Individuals with the DBs?
No question.
You make it so easy on them.
I know, that's the problem. I mean, when you throw perfect interceptions, it's hard to, get the guys to do the bad ball stuff.
That's what, are you ever going to mix it up? Maybe throw in a back shoulder or two, make it tough on them?
But I'm pretty good at the back shoulder, too.
You can do that one? You can locate it, can't you, Coach? All over the place.
Well, accuracy is the key to the drill.
I suppose that's what it is. You ever tell Jalen and Tua that this is how you do it, and you just launch it up for him a little bit?
Well, I've told them a few times that I could have thrown that pass and completed it when they throw a bad one, but they don't like to hear that.
I think I heard that once or twice, too.
You probably did.
It's remarkable. Alabama's been ranked in the AP top 5 in the preseason poll each of the last 9 years. That's the longest streak in school history, and you can absolutely expect that streak to reach double digits when this year's poll is released in a few short months. The second half at Bryant-Denny Stadium coming right up.
Damian Harris there getting the carry, goes for 7-8 yards. Legs are still churning. Well, Kirk Herbstreit did warn us that the Columbus Blue Jackets game was starting at 2 o'clock local. So he said if he and Joey Galloway did not make an appearance early in the second half, we can be fairly certain they are cheering on Sergei Bobrovsky and the rest of the Jackets in a key Game 5 against the Washington Capitals. Yeah, I know, Nick. I don't know what to tell you either. My guys are gone. But we do have Holly Rowe with us. So me and Holly will try to carry us through here. 2nd and 2, here's Hurts. Play action, rolls to his right. And as this is wont, using the legs to pick up the first down. Hurts really was the alpha male for this team. He really has been the guy who was strong in the huddle. You think of Alabama, their defensive identity so much, but offensively, he was that guy, a take charge leader, a vocal guy, and all of the players have said, you want to point out how good Tua Tagovailoa was? Fine. But Hurts showed tremendous leadership and selflessness, and after being pulled, supporting his teammate, and he's done so all offseason. Trayvon Diggs, by the way, is the injured player, and that could be a concern. Number 7, the defensive back, who's expected to be a starting corner. Holly?
Well, Adnan, he has had some injuries through spring that have impacted his reps a little bit. That did not appear to be too much of a serious injury. He jogged off on his own potential there. But what I like about this secondary today, we're talking about Jalen Hurts looking downfield, but this secondary has shown me something. Deontay Thompson, number 14 out here, really showing some nice ability. He sinks into his hips, changes directions really well, and I love how he is efforting the ball. Shaheem Carter has done some nice reps. Number 8, Savion Smith. This is a JC transfer, but remember, he had committed to LSU, a really high-level prospect, so keep your eye on number 8. And instead of being only negative, I think it's a glass half empty, half full scenario, Adnan.
Yeah.
The secondary is playing well. That's good.
Yes, you're absolutely right. A secondary in which they've got the top 6 players all gone from a season ago, and Savion Smith, they do have high expectations for him. He could be that jaw-dropping corner that Nick Saban has wanted for years. Smith was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He landed in LSU for 1 season. Then he went the JUCO route for 1 year and was the nation's #1 JUCO prospect at his position. So Nick Saban's very clear cut. He's hoping that Trayvon Diggs and Savion Smith will be his starting corners when the football starts to matter September 1st against Louisville. On 3rd and 3, Hurts over the middle, completes that pass to Devontae Smith.
strong possibility that you could see those freshmen you're alluding to having an opportunity to maybe come in and contribute. I remember one year when Minka was a true freshman and I came to a scrimmage in August not knowing who in the heck he was, and by the time I walked out of that scrimmage, even though he's a true freshman, so is Ronnie Harrison, both those guys had played well enough in those scrimmages to be able to help out. And as talented as these 4 incoming freshman secondary guys are, there's a chance they could come in and do the same thing.
Devontae Smith is always going to live in the lore of Alabama football history after he caught that touchdown from Tua Tagovailoa to beat Georgia in the national championship. And another guy who's big is Henry Ruggs. He was a 4-star in 2017. He caught the touchdown that gave Alabama its first points, and he makes a nice catch here.
And then we talked about Jalen Hurts struggling in the first half, but then you see throws like that on a rope, moving to his right, throws a dime, and those are the plays that let you know that he has the talent. Arm talent is not an issue for Jalen Hurts. It is getting the ball out, reading the defense, getting it there on time, throwing his guys open. But then you see those kind of plays, and you're like, well, the sky's the limit for this young man.
And if you're just going to put him in a pair of shorts and let him throw the ball around, he's going to look as good as anybody. I mean, he's got a big arm. There's never been a question about his arm or making plays on the run, throwing the ball on the run. It's processing, reading coverage, decision-making, and accuracy. Those are the things that they want to see.
Speaking of accuracy, Irv Smith there, the recipient of the catch from Jalen Hurts. So after a lackluster first half, this second half, Hurts has looked good so far.
They've also, you know, some of these throws, I mean, he made a nice play on the run, but some of these throws are going back to what we saw a little bit earlier, but Mac Jones just getting the ball back, getting the ball out quicker. Maybe that's an adjustment that the White coaching staff decided to make.
Hurts feels pressure there coming from number 99, Sean Hutchinson, and then goes to his legs.
I'd be amazed if we don't see the White team try to air it out in this second half. We hadn't seen a lot of throws going downfield. And this is a pass. And this is another situation where you see Jalen Hurts drop back in the pocket, and you know he can always rely on his feet to move the chains. And now you got 4 more shots at it. You'd love to see this kid gain some confidence in the second half, start to complete some more balls, and then let's see him go downfield.
Well, go downfield down here is a tight end typically. You know, you're restricted in spring games to only play usually a couple coverages. We're seeing a lot of cover 2 with the 2 safeties on the hashes, and an area to try to attack that defense is a tight end trying to go vertical right behind the linebackers, right between the 2 safeties.
This time Hurts completes the pass over the middle to Derek Keefe, and talking to the offensive coordinator Mike Loxley, he said that Keefe could be a utility guy almost. You talk about the top 3 wideouts and just how good Judy and Smith and Ruggs are going to be, but a guy like Keefe could be valuable for this Crimson Tide offense.
And typically in these Alabama spring games, and this is our 3rd time here, you don't see many blitzes until the second half, and you can see Clark came off the edge that time at Jalen Hurts, and here he comes again on another blitz. Coach has always been, let's play a base defense in the first half, and then he just seems to change things up and start to send people at him. And that was Shaheem Carter, going in on the blitz, and that's always been the look. Coach comes out second half and he starts saying, hey, number 5,
yeah, here are
let's
the
go.
rules until they're about to score, then we'll throw a little bit of a change up on them.
Third and goal. We'll see if Hurts tries to get in the end zone here. Najee Harris alongside him. And Hurts just calmly lofts it away. Nobody open.
Looking down here at the secondary, at Deontay Thompson, Trayvon Diggs, really the only 2 guys with a great deal of experience. We've talked throughout this broadcast how they lost their top 6 contributors to that secondary, and there's always ebb and flow to a roster of Nick Saban, and where they occasionally lose people up front and sometimes linebackers, this year, without question, they're going to have to be able to plug and play with the secondary. But Thompson and Diggs, the only two that have played a lot of ball.
And the fact that Coach was saying that they'll be able to rush the passer better this season absolutely will help those back guys. You don't have to cover very long. If you can get after your quarterback up front, then the back half of your defense has it much easier, doesn't have to cover as long. And you're talking about young corners coming to a season, no better situation than when you're on a defense that can get after the quarterback.
Now, Hurts was better on this drive. In the first half, 6 of 14 for 32 yards. This drive, 5 of 8 for 43. And they'll try to tack on some more points as well. 26-yard attempt. Belova's 2 for 3 so far. He's made it from 33 and 49. And this time, he's good from 26. So the white team so far 3 field goals. Jalen Hurts yet to get in the end zone for his side. 14-9, Crimson leads it.
Love it when they come to your city. At last, they're coming to your draft.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is strictly business.
College Game Day live from the NFL Draft, Thursday at 5 on ESPN.
It's going to be a ton of fun to have the College Game Day guys, including Kirk Herbstreit, there prior to the draft. And then Herbie will be a part of the coverage on Thursday night. Trey Wingo at the head of the class. I'm wondering where those Alabama players are going to be. Minkah Fitzpatrick among those stars. As you see Chris Golden here taking it out of the end zone and stopped just shy of the 20. Yeah, all those Alabama players from a year ago. Minkah Fitzpatrick expected to go highest of them all according to Scouts Inc. Top 100 overall. Number 8, Deron Payne, Calvin Ridley, Rashaan Evans, Ronnie Harrison, Anthony Averett, and Bo Scarborough, the number 7 ranked running back, could go 87th overall. I want to ask you, Joey Galloway, about Calvin Ridley. They're saying he could be a stud at the next level in the NFL. What do you think?
You know, and I watched Calvin Ridley, and I've heard all the scouts say they don't know if he's a true number 1 or not, but I watched Calvin Ridley and his ability to get off the line of scrimmage, his ability to run routes. I think he is as smooth as a receiver as I've seen in the past couple years. I do believe he is a first-round pick and will be a number 1 for a team. When they watch his work, his speed, his acceleration, his smoothness of routes, I like
Is he a better route runner, like going downfield, or better after the catch? I know he can do both. What do you think is better?
I think it's a combination with him. And you don't see a lot of college receivers nowadays put in their work at the line of scrimmage in their releases. And when you watch Calvin Ridley, he's been taught how to play wide receiver. He plays it the way it needs to be played. He puts his work in at the line of scrimmage, moving the corner, getting his clean release, and gets it to his route as well as anyone I've seen in the past couple years.
I can't wait to see where Minkah ends up going. You know, that versatile guy who can play the star. I think that's probably where he'll play in the NFL. Has experience at corner and safety, but I think he'll be over that slot receiver. I think he's going to have a top 7, top 8 opportunity. And then Rashaan Evans, who we were talking with earlier today on the sideline, what an impressive just a young man. I think he's just scratching the surface of what he can do at the middle linebacker. Don't forget, he played a lot early in his career with his hand down as one of those rabbits that they call a guy who can come in and rush the quarterback with Tim Williams back a few years ago. And then he eventually got put into that middle linebacker spot. He's going to make somebody really happy because of his versatility. Play in the middle, put his hand down, rush the quarterback.
And there are guys that are fun to watch. Rashaan Evans is one of those guys. He is as physical as a linebacker as anyone at the line of scrimmage, with the athletic ability to drop back, get into coverage, cover a tight end if you need him to. And he can, but the physicality and the footwork, man, he's as good as I've seen out there.
And what's crazy about him is he played through injuries most of the year last year.
We'll go to break right now. 14-9. Crimson lead the white team. See if Jalen Hurts can get in the end zone when we come back. From Orlando, Florida, Saturday, September 1st in prime time. One of the nation's best offenses will take on the nation's best defense from a year ago, Louisville, and this Alabama Crimson Tide team. For ticket information, visit campingworldkickoff.com. Herbie, that should be a ton of fun. I know you're locked into your Columbus Blue Jackets. 1-0.
We've got a shorthanded goal by the Columbus Blue Jackets by Matty Calvert. Jackets up 1-0, 7 minutes to go in the first period.
But seriously, Louisville, Alabama should be a fun game, right?
Oh, man. How about playoff hockey? You've been enjoying it your whole life, but the Blue Jackets are kind of new to the party. I don't know if there's any more intensity than NHL playoff hockey. Joey, I know you love it.
Yeah, it's so different to be in the arena, and I know Adnan would like to get back to football right now, but Adnan, let's talk about what's important. The Blue Jackets tied 2-2, got up to a 2-game lead, and then let 2 slip. And now we're back in it. We got to get a win on the road.
At home.
Yeah, the Capitals, their playoff flops are well documented, fellas. So Herbie's Blue Jackets look good out of the gate, but Kirk, you've left them back in the series now.
Yes, yeah, like Joey said, up 2-0, and then to be able to be at 2-2 going back to D.C. with Alex Ovechkin and the boys gaining some confidence. Long way to go here in Game 5, but it's great to hear that they're up 1-0.
And Adnan, I know you're happy about the Flyers getting a win.
Oh, big time win over the Penguins
looking
last
ugly.
night.
How about that?
Sean Couturier, Warrior.
I thought that series was over.
Yeah. Michael Neuvirth played great last night. But seriously, Louisville, Alabama is going to be a blast, right?
Oh, no, it's always, you know what's great about Alabama when it comes to the first game of the year? They've been taking, since Nick Saban has been here, they've been one of those teams that's willing to play that matchup, no matter where it is, whether it's in Atlanta or Arlington, this year in Orlando, and they're willing to play heavyweight programs. I mean, over the years, think about who they have matched up with. And I know Louisville does not have the quarterback play in Lamar Jackson, but Bobby Petrino recruits well. They're athletic. It'll be fun to see Alabama. It's better to see Alabama in a game like that than against a 1AA opponent in that first game of the year.
It's great for Alabama. If I'm Louisville, I'm a little nervous. And you mentioned Lamar Jackson being gone, another very talented quarterback we probably don't talk about enough as far as NFL draft is concerned. There's no doubt that Bobby Petrino will have someone playing quarterback that is a talented guy, but he won't have the experience, he won't have the explosiveness out of Lamar Jackson. You're going against an Alabama team that is going to be nasty up front.
And you got to think with an entire new secondary that you got to just, Bobby Petrino, known as his offensive guy, got to come in there and take your chances, right? You got to come in there and attack them through the air, and what the heck? I mean,
I like the attitude.
That's what I would do. Get the ball out fast is the only recommendation I would say.
You absolutely have to get it out fast because you know Alabama is coming, especially with the quarterback that hasn't played. They're going to dial up every blitz, every exotic look they can to confuse a young quarterback. And this is Josh Lupoy's. That's his debut. That is his debut as the Alabama defensive coordinator.
Bobby Petrino at Arkansas in the SEC West for many years, very familiar with going up against the schemes of Nick Saban. So it'll be a good matchup week 1. It's always fun.
Look forward to that September 1st. There's Jalen Hurts over the middle, completing to Henry Ruggs.
This just in, newfound appreciation for Holly Rowe and all the sideline reporters who stand.
Lower back injuries.
Lower back. I need a good stretch.
Okay, guys.
Carry Herbstreit
We
off
don't
the field
stand down here,
done.
though. We run laps. So 6 miles a game is what my average is.
I'm impressed, Holly.
Holly's getting it done.
But more important, I want to talk about the defensive front because they're impressing me today. So number 99, Raekwon Davis, he is going to be a bell cow. 6'7", 306 pounds. He's been super active today. He's better inside, and he is just a massive guy that's hard to move, holding that point of attack there, getting after the quarterback, pushing that pocket back. But I also love Isaiah Buggs, number 49. He's somebody that's going to figure in much more heavily next season than maybe he even did last year. He started 13 games in his first year after transferring from junior college. He's lost over 10% body fat, according to Scott Cochran, so he's getting in better and better shape. But I'm loving this defensive front so far today. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of those guys played last year and only getting bigger and faster. Holly not only stands down here for the entire game, she also has about a 5-pound dumbbell worth of notes she's holding, so she gets bonus points for being able to.
My bicep is good. My bicep is pretty good.
She'll do a standing shoulder press.
Like holding a dumbbell over there.
Galloway, this is like we're in studio. We're just officially off the wheels, and we still got another quarter to go. 14-9, Crimson leads the white. We're having more fun after this. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's Alabama spring football here on ESPN. With Holly Rowe, Kirk Herbstreit, Joey Galloway, I'm Adnan Burr. Crimson's leading the white team 14-9, but Jalen Hurts so far. Herbie, Joey, what'd you guys see in that third quarter? Much improved, didn't he?
Yeah, made some plays. Honestly, you would like to see him finish off the last drive and get the team in the end zone, but made some plays look more comfortable. Still waiting to see the down the field throws. A lot of them are shorter throws so far. We know he can do it. We know he's talented. Still want to see the white offense open it up and take those shots downfield.
Yeah, but I think the one adjustment that Dan Enos made, who's quarterback coach calling the plays for the white team, I think he's doing a better job of putting him in a position to be more successful. He's more decisive, getting the ball out a little bit quicker. But now you got to execute in the red zone. This is big for coach. It's one thing to move the ball down. Now you got to come up with a touchdown. You don't want to settle for field goals down here.
Damian Harris with an 8-yard run there.
Keep in mind, guys, that we're focused a lot on Jalen Hurts, but this is good against good. This is when the white team has the ball and the Crimson is on defense. It's the one unit for the offense against the one unit from the defense. So that offensive line, they got their hands full with that defensive line that Holly was talking about just a minute ago.
And if you're Jalen Hurts, that's what you want. You want to go against the ones.
Yeah.
You want to show your best against whatever the defense is going to throw at you. And again, we're in that red zone area. Been able to get there another time in this half. Has to find a way to get this offense into the end zone.
Now, the defensive ranks the last 3 years, it's been ridiculous. When it comes to points allowed in the FBS, 2015, they were third. The last 2 years, number 1. Also top 3 in the FBS in total defense. And as you guys said, there's questions with the secondary, but maybe they'll have more of a pass rush this year. Yeah. And the front seven will be really good. There's Hurts going to the end zone.
Oh.
Off the hands of Devontae Smith.
It looked like in person, it looked like he gave up on the route and maybe surprised all of a sudden he accelerated there at the end to try to adjust to the ball. He's got to stay on his route there to give Jalen a chance to be able to execute there. I want to go back real quick to what you said about the defense, because I always brag about how they always have one or two guys are their guys. And Joey talked about that earlier. I was over on the sideline with Rashaan Evans before the game, Reggie Ragland. We've always had those enforcers and alphas in the middle that are the leaders of this defense. And with all those defensive numbers, they got some great defensive linemen, but they're gonna need the linebackers, Mack Wilson, to be able to step up and become that guy. Dylan Moses is going to have to become that guy. And I think those two guys, especially as far as intangibles to this defense, are going to have to be able to become the guys. The baton has kind of been handed to them now that Rashaan Evans, Reuben Foster the year before that left. It's their turn. It's their turn to become those guys.
And how valuable was the time when they were down in linebacker? Some of those young guys had to play.
Yeah,
and you talk about experience and guys that have done it and handing down the baton to guys that have been on the field and made plays. Talk about Mack Wilson and what he did at the end of the season. That's when you hand a guy a baton. You see him make some plays out on the field late in seasons and big games, and you know that guy's ready to lead your defense.
Yeah, Wilson had that critical interception, Joey, against Clemson. And then in the national title game, 12 tackles. Another field goal from Belovis. He's 4 of 5. The white team needs to get a touchdown, but they're only down by 2. Back with more for this. You see Tosh Lupoy here, the defensive coordinator, talking to Jalen Hurts, giving a little feedback here. The man running the defense, talking to the man who could be leading the offense. Hurts has been 26-2 as the starting quarterback here in Alabama. Jalen Hurts and the white team just put up their 4th field goal of the game, currently down by 2 against the Crimson team, which has been quieted after a good start there from Mac Jones. See what they can provide the rest of this 4th quarter in terms of offense. But don't forget, NFL Draft is on ESPN for the 39th straight year. It'll come your way. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, April 26th to the 28th. Trey Wingo's hosting alongside Mel Kiper Jr., Lewis Riddick, and Kirk Herbstreit. Herbie's joining the big boys for the first time, and nobody covers the NFL Draft like we do. All 3 days, also streaming live on the ESPN app. People can't get enough of the quarterback talk, Herbie. What about Sam Darnold? What about Rosen? What about Josh Allen? All those guys.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how it unfolds. A lot of people have been predicting what they think Cleveland will do at 1. And how that's kind of a big domino, whether they go with Darnold, whether they go with Rosen, no matter who they end up going with there. There's obviously talk about Allen going at 1. But based on what they do, you're going to find other teams are going to have to be able to make a decision. Are people going to move up? Or the teams that are sitting there right now at 2 and 3 are going to go ahead and make their pick. So it's one thing to try to predict what you think is going to happen, but at the end of the day, Roger Goodell steps up to that podium and says the Browns are on the clock, and they got to make a pick, and then the rest of the NFL respond to it. It's going to be a fun couple days down in Arlington.
Joey will be there as well, part of our NFL coverage. You see Mac Jones this time dropping back. Briefly, Kyle Edwards, by the way, was in there for a couple snaps at quarterback, but Mac Jones is back in there.
And then I want to see the promo sheet. Somehow the ESPN2 promo sheet isn't quite as exciting as the ESPN1 promo sheet. We keep getting the brush off like, oh, by the way, those guys will be down there too. Is there a promo sheet anywhere in the building for the ESPN2 broadcast?
There is no promo sheet. I'm giving you a verbal mention just to support you. You know what it's like in studio. We take what we get.
You're absolutely right. That's what it's like. The promo goes to the ESPN1 and Curb Street guys, and then us ESPN2 studio guys. And oh, by the way, come on down, guys.
No, I have nothing to do with it. It's Mel and the boys. It's Mel. It's all about Mel.
Mel and the boys.
Joey, we'll start hyping up college football final right now. We'll get the word out.
Exactly. 3 a.m. catch college football final.
You get home honestly at 3 a.m. every Saturday.
What? If I'm lucky, we get back by 3 a.m.
No way.
Love of the game, Herbie. Love of the game. All right, we still want to see what Jalen Hurts can do. Can he get a touchdown for this white team? He's been better so far in the second half. You'll see him on the field next.
Kirby Smart. I know G-Day's coming up next. I'm so excited to see our guys go out and compete and see this Dog Nation get behind us one more time and pull us through. Today, Georgia wins.
Well, thank you, Coach Smart. Obviously, Alabama and Georgia meeting in that national championship game. This is a rivalry that's looking like it could be really good for the next few years. I talked to a couple of the Alabama players, Damian Harris and Ross Pierce-Baker, about it, and they said, you know what? We love Georgia. They were so good in that game. We see the young talent that they've got. We're really glad we're going to be out of here because Georgia's on the move. Georgia's coming up. So we'll watch Georgia coming up next.
Thank you, Holly. You know, in terms of recruiting classes, they were sensational. Number one, Georgia's recruiting class was, as we were all over them on the ESPN 300. So lots of young players. Look forward to see how they're doing in that spring football game coming up next. Alabama fans still want to know what Jalen Hurts can provide. Can he get a touchdown here in spring football? He's got under 10 minutes to go to try to get one. Dominant storyline coming in today. Who's going to be the quarterback? And right now, if you're a Tua Tagovailoa fan, you like the fact that he, at least on paper, is the guy for a lot of fans here. You know, we've got 74,732 fans here. Think about that. For spring football, almost 75,000. And if you believe the way the wind is blowing with them, they want to see Tua under center. And Jalen Hurts so far today, guys, underwhelming.
What's one thing to add, just standing over here on the Crimson sideline, 9:18 to go, and it's starting to get serious.
Yeah.
And it's funny that it doesn't sound like very much other than pride, but also they're yelling about having steak versus pork and beans. They're like, we're having that steak, we're having that steak. So this is a 2-point game. And I know no one's on the edge of their seat, but for the players, there's a lot of pride on the line down here, too.
Yeah, look at Nick Saban's face, that intensity. He's taking this seriously. There's no doubt about it. ESPN's Draft Academy, this 8-part documentary, is a personal behind-the-scenes look at 6 of the top NFL draft prospects, available now on ESPN Plus and streaming exclusively on the ESPN app. Start your free trial of ESPN Plus today. Players featured including Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Minka Fitzpatrick, Shaq Griffin, Equinemius St. Brown, and Kyle Allen. Draft Academy, ESPN Plus.
And you mentioned the Crimson team's only up 2 points, and as bad as it felt for the white team in the first half offensively, they're only down 2 points in the second half. Crimson team has to find a way to put together a nice drive and hold on to the ball. The white team has had the ball over 30 minutes in this game. Crimson team only 15 minutes. If you're Crimson, and again, this isn't a big deal win or lose, but you want to win the game. If I'm Crimson, I might start running a little clock here, Herb. I might want to keep it on the ground and run the clock and just hold the ball.
Head over heels there. Brian Robinson goes. Thankfully, no worse for wear. I'll handle these replays. Robinson there, you see. Athletic play gets turned up there by Rodrigo Lewis, but obviously spring football. Last thing you want to see is any injuries for these guys.
Keep that clock running, David.
First and 10.
You're in charge of the clock, right? Is there any reason to ever stop that for the rest of the game, do you think?
Kind of funny looking coat on, good looking coat on. He can do it.
That's other than that, we're just going to keep it going, right? Eddie's 90 years old. He's been here for over 50 years as an official helping out with the Crimson Tide. Great man. He's in charge of the clock, so if there's any problems, we point to him.
Good to know we got a fall guy set up just in case. Mac Jones there to Ronnie Clark for the pass. Well, it's not an ideal situation, but tell you what, you want to keep watching Alabama spring football, go to the ESPN app. That is going to do it for us here on ESPN. For Kirk Herbstreit, by the way, Caps have tied it up 1-1. Joey Galloway and Holly Rowe. I'm Adnan Burke. Let's send it to Bob Wischusen and Todd Blackledge. That's right. In Athens, Georgia. We'll be on the ESPN app. Bob, take it away. All right, so we continue here on the ESPN app. Under 7 minutes to go. Running clock unless it's under 2 minutes. That's the spring football rules here. As Mac Jones right now is leading the Crimson Tide. Up 14-12 against the white team with just about 6.5 to go.
Big third down coming up. If you're the Crimson team and you're up 2 points, you're trying to hold on to this football. This is a huge third down coming up for Mac Jones. You wonder if they're going to let this young man, go downfield with this ball, get a big first down, and try to go underneath to one of these running backs like Robinson, and then try to break a few tackles to get a first down.
Jones on 3rd and 8. Buys time. Can he get there? No, not quite. Holly?
Well, guys, I've really been standing right behind Tosh Lupoy, the new defensive coordinator for Alabama. He's been here for 3 years, but, he has had his eyes set on becoming a Division I defensive coordinator and then head coach. He's got lofty goals, and he's been preparing himself for this moment. He's been calling plays on his headset for the scrimmages and practices leading up to this moment. He said even when he was an assistant coach, sometimes, he would practice like, hey, what's the play call going to be, and really try to get ready for this moment. So I'm going to just tell you, he's had a really good presence over here. The guys listen to him. He's a young, energetic, athletic guy over here, really running the sideline. I've been impressed with what I've seen so far.
A young man who knows he want to do this for a while, Holly, and clearly now has the big ticket. We know how involved Nick Saban is with his defense, but Tosh Lupoy not going to shrink from that responsibility. And as you mentioned, he's been part of the staff. He's known the players well, and maybe he'll have more of a pass rush this year from his defense, and they're hoping the secondary can follow suit. Another guy we haven't talked about, Johnny Dwight, that nose guard spot. 6'3", 305, that big junior. You add him with Raekwon Davis and Isaiah Buggs. We've talked about Mac Wilson and Dylan Moses, but there's another guy in Johnny Dwight. Could be big for the Tide up front. All right, Jalen Hurts once again going to try to get a touchdown here for this white team. Down by 2 with 5:20 to go. He'll air it out. And number 6, Devontae Smith, makes the catch in double coverage, and you hear a big roar from the crowd here at Bryant-Denny.
That's the best ball that he throws. Jalen, I think, from watching him, I think the ball that he feels most comfortable with is dropping back, hitch, putting it up in the air, and letting a fast receiver get behind coverage. Bad news for Alabama fans is he got behind Trayvon Diggs, who's expected to be one of the leading corners this year for Alabama.
That was a situation where the coverage dictated that pass route would not be open. But Jalen Hurts, believing in his receiver, believing in his arm, still went versus 2 defensive backs, makes a nice throw and a big completion for not only his confidence, but for the white team. Only down 2 at this stage. Maybe they try to run the clock out and kick a field goal.
For a quarterback, though, that's not anything you have to read. You get back, you see the one-on-one matchup. All you have to do is put it up in the air and try to throw it way out in front of the receiver. Let him run underneath it.
Christian Miller, the linebacker there, making a play.
he's put on about, I think I talked to him yesterday. He said he's put up at 245. I think he played last year a little over 230. And if you look at him up close, he looks like a different guy. He's put some really good weight on. He's healthy, battled through some injuries last year. They feel like he can really, along with 24 Lewis on one side, they feel that Miller has a chance to really get after that quarterback this year for the Tide.
Hurts with plenty of time steps up. You see the catch over the middle made to Irv Smith, the tight end.
Okay, now we got a 2-point game. Here we go. A little pressure here late in the game.
Yeah, 59-yard pass, Devontae Smith there, a nice completion. So Hurts trying to end off with a bang here with 4 minutes to go.
Coach just said to Mike Loxley, we're going to go normal clock here. Give him a chance.
Okay, then.
The rules have never stayed the same as they begin the game with. In the 3 years we've come here, there's always been changes as the game goes along, from no blitzing to running clock to stop the clock.
He missed it, so as far as I'm concerned, let's run the football here and win the surest way.
all those in agreement say aye. Let's go ahead and get this done. Belovas 4 of 6 so far today. This attempt was from 43 yards out. Unable to complete it.
All right, Locks, let's kill that clock, kid.
So he misses from 43 and 49 today.
Crimson is going to go into Mayday tempo now, Adnan. That's the plan here. Coach, what is Mayday tempo?
Fastball. We're going 2 minutes, basically.
I like it.
All right, I like the attitude.
Mac Jones over the middle. Completes that pass to Xavier Marks.
We're going tempo here.
Crimson up 2 with 3:30 left. They're going to go a little fast tempo and get after it like they're getting their practice in for 2 minutes. I like it.
Jones, back-to-back plays, able to make completions. That time to number 35, Mac Hereford. 36, excuse me.
You got to watch the reactions down here from these coaches. I mean, all they want to do is they want to rib the coaches on the other side. That's all this is about.
Bragging rights on the line. Along with the winners getting steak and the loser getting frank and beans. Mayday again. Brian Ray there making the play on the defense.
Yes. Run the win.
Oh! Brian Robinson there with the catch.
The big fella running over that secondary.
Hey, look at
Mac Jones continues to impress me. He really does. On a 3rd and long, to stand in the pocket, deliver to the sideline, and get a big first down. They're going fast tempo in a situation when they're up 2 with 3 minutes left, and he is standing in the pocket like he is a veteran.
And Jones certainly has a lot of chemistry here with Hereford. Goes to McGinn.
You got Wilson and Diggs.
This is a trick play here. This is a trick play that Coach Loxley talked about before the game. Trick play. Been waiting on this play.
So who's Darius? Mac Jones go back. Wilson
throwing
throw it.
Mac Wilson.
Mac Wilson.
Mac Wilson gonna throw the ball.
Nice.
Back over here.
The linebacker Mac Wilson wants to show off his arm. He can do it all, this young man. Why not let him run? Herbie's reaction the same as the fans. Wait, Mac Wilson's going to throw it?
Not sure that's how they drew it up. That's not what Coach Loxley told me was going to happen on that play.
Yeah.
So much for being worried about injuries to your starter. They're out here doing trick plays with a starting linebacker. Gets hits low on the knee, goes up in the air. All right, I love it.
We're going to win this thing.
No caution to the wind, baby.
Yeah. Jones this time in the slant to Ronnie Clark.
Charlie right, let's go here. Oh, no, you're stuck. Charlie right.
Oh, Ronnie Clark of the backfield. You're right about the physicality down there, guys. You can tell.
I'm telling you, man. He talks about the process, the culture. Culture is they're not. I just think I understand why teams do it. The numbers are really low in spring. You know, you don't have a whole class that's going to be coming in. You've lost a class from the previous year. You're playing with some guys that maybe won't be seeing much action in the fall. There's a tendency to want to protect players, but here they don't do that. They attack, they tackle, they block, and it pays off for them, in my opinion, in games. It's just a mentality. It's a physical mentality.
White. Their first time out.
Well, as they take a time out here, you talk about that mentality. You also see about the Alabama schedule this year, and honestly, at least on paper, you never know what can happen. We've talked about the fact they'll start the year against Louisville, but other than that, listen, this is the SEC in which they've got 4 new coaches here involved. They're going to be playing Auburn at home in the Iron Bowl. They've got a bye before they face LSU November 3rd. So, again, on paper, very manageable schedule here for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I think they'll be favored by double digits in almost every game on their schedule.
I'm with you. Belovus from 48 yards out. Well, I tell you what, we haven't figured out the quarterback situation with the kickers, but all right. 5 of 7 so far today. Taking over for Andy Papanastos. Belovus today from 48. Nails this. That's good news. That's a much maligned aspect of the Crimson Tide, that a school that's won 5 national championships in 9 years. Tough to quibble with, but if the kicking game gets improved, that's always a positive sign. The freshman out of Mandeville, Louisiana. Minute 15 left to go, with the Crimson leading the white team 17-12. Jalen Hurts trying to impress not only the coaching staff but his teammates. The final time Nick Saban will see his players for 6 weeks. Enjoy the break and then come back strong. The numbers on Mac Jones, by the way, who impressed Joey: 22 of 34 for 243, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Devontae Smith receiving. There's Mac Jones. So to reiterate, 22 of 34, 243, a touchdown and a pick. That gets Galloway's seal of approval.
Oh, this is going to be good here. With a minute 10, you got some experience now on the field on both sides of the football. Ones against ones with Jalen Hurts, who's been here, and you got a secondary that's got some new faces. This will be fun to see, this little matchup. Coach.
Hurts, one last gasp, immediately feels pressure and takes off using his legs. We've seen it so many times. Jalen Hurts, the last time these fans saw him, was unimpressive in that national championship game. Tua Tagovailoa's got that wow factor, and so people want to see what Hurts can provide today as that pass is batted down.
Isaiah Buggs getting up, timing that up nicely. Holly touched on him a little bit earlier. Last year, coming in as a junior college player, there was some experience in front of him. He got some reps, but this year, with some loss of some of the players up front, And with his experience and the strength that he's gained in the offseason, the confidence I think he's gained, he could have a monster year for that Alabama D-line.
Hurts going over the middle. That pass, though, broken up. Good defensive play by Shaheem Carter. You can tell this intensity in those last 2 minutes feels legit.
You are absolutely right, and I thought that on the last drive. You can see the intensity is picked up. If that ball's led out a little further, that is a touchdown for the white team, a little behind the receiver.
Bragging rights. 3rd and 10. Scrambles in play here.
Third and 10. What will Jalen Hurts provide? Immediately passes, but that's not going to be nearly enough for a first down, as the pass completed by Irv Smith.
They have 1 timeout left.
Jalen Hurts struggled mightily against the Georgia defense. He had just 21 yards on 3 of 8 passing. His lone highlight was that 31-yard run because the offense needed a spark. Although when we asked Nick Saban about it, said, how did Jalen respond to being benched? He said, I wouldn't say he was benched. I would say we needed a change of pace and we took him out of the game. Semantics aside how you phrase it, there's no doubt Hurts wanted to play well today. And obviously, as we've mentioned, that championship game, he has a lot to prove to some.
And that's a great way to spin it if you're a coach. Honestly, to your team, you would spin it, he wasn't benched, but inside of a locker room, inside of a huddle, that is the way it's received by players. As your quarterback was benched in that situation, you go on to win, you find success because of the struggles. And Kirk, you talked about it in the game before against Clemson, there were struggles. And then through the first half against Georgia, there were struggles. So we understand where Coach says you weren't benched, but inside of a locker room, it is played as bench amongst players.
4th and 5.
And on 4th and 5, a very unimpressive pass there from Jalen Hurts.
That was such, one of those balls that's thrown so poorly. It's a miscommunication. I don't know if the receiver and Jalen were on the same page.
But honestly, if you're an Alabama fan, you're a Jalen Hurts advocate, you're hoping to end this one with a bang. That's a wounded duck. As Herbie said, a miscommunication. That ball so erratic. And that'll be it for Jalen Hurts. Mac Jones, one last blast, going deep. Yes, Xavier Marks for the touchdown. The return of the Mac. 46-yard touchdown was on the mark to Marks. We see the pocket presence of Mac Jones, the way he's able to step up, and Marks able to create just enough separation there from Michael Collins. And Jones with a big grin for the touchdown. And with the extra point, Crimson doubling up the white team 24-12. We've got just 33 seconds left here in T-Town. Well, Mac Jones, 23 of 35, 289, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and he made a believer of Joey Galloway.
Throw all conventional thinking out the window in the spring game. Kill the clock. No. They're doing 2-minute drill with a 2-point lead. They're going deep with a 5-point lead.
No doubt, Herbie. We came to see Jalen and Tua, and instead Tua didn't play due to injury, and Jalen was unimpressive, and Mac Jones looked good.
You play quarterback in high school? Mac wanted to throw that. Mac wanted to throw that.
Mac Wilson, yeah, he had that chance there.
You say a high school quarterback? You play high school quarterback? Yeah, sweet. I guess just guess you can't kill the clock for us. Huh. I mean, we're really hoping you got the lead, no timeouts, take a knee. No, you're going deep.
He has to. I mean, you got to go. You got to go Mayday tempo with 4 minutes left. He makes
I got you.
Up or down.
I got you.
Up or down.
Appreciate Herbie lobbying Coach Loxley there, but just about 29 seconds left here on the ESPN app. Hope you're enjoying A-Day from Bryant Denny. The numbers for Jalen Hurts, 18 of 35 for 181 passing, 15 carries, 33 yards rushing. If you're looking for positives, 12 of 21 for 149 in the second half. But overall, guys, if you felt coming in, Jalen Hurts had to prove more as a passer, 18 of 35 is uninspiring.
It is, but we got to realize this is just the spring game, and we have not seen the practices leading up. We have not seen the entire body of work in the spring. If you just take this game alone, you don't feel great about what you saw today, but we don't know what this coaching staff has seen. Coach Loxley told us he has improved. It just didn't show up today, and sometimes that happens.
Now this time the interception made by Trayvon Diggs. Expected to be one of the starting corners for Alabama. He makes a nice play there. So an Alabama secondary that's missing its top 6 players from last year. Good news is you got Trayvon Diggs. And Savion Smith expected to be the starting corners. Oh, we got the belt now. They're saying amen. 2 seconds left. Go ahead, kill the clock. The champ is here, evidently with the belt. He's taking his belt and he's going home. And with one last handoff here to Ronnie Clark, that'll do it. Alabama spring football is in the books as the Crimson team beats the white team 24-12 is the final. Mac Jones looked awfully good for the triumphant team. Jalen Hurts better in the second half, but wasn't great overall. Let's go down to Holly Rowe.
Well, Coach, you're standing right behind every play, both sides. What was it that you observed the most today?
Well, you know, we struggled a little bit in pass protection. We had too many pressures because we really only had 4 guys rushing most of the time. So, you know, sometimes the quarterbacks couldn't operate as well as we'd like. But, you know, there's a lot of good things happened out here today. They made some explosive plays. I think the players will learn a lot from, you know, the experience that they had today. And hopefully we can get off some of these guys that are injured back, and I think that'll help the depth of our team.
Your first team defense did a really nice job. What jumped out to you about them?
Well, that group is, you know, we got a lot of new faces over there, but they're all guys that have played some, so they've got some experience. It's not like they've never played in games. So I was encouraged by that, but they made a lot of progress all spring, and that's been a good thing for us. The big thing on defense is adding depth because the second team was not nearly as good as we need it to be.
Coach, I know leaving here, people are going to want to blow out this quarterback competition out of proportion. You've seen the whole body of work for this spring. How will you take into account what you saw today?
Well, it doesn't matter, really, because one guy's not even out here competing because he's injured. Players shouldn't be penalized because he's injured. You know, we're evaluating, trying to help every player on our team, Jalen, Mac, be better players. So, you know, I was encouraged by some of the things that Mac did today, and Jalen did some good things as well.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you. We enjoy having you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. Coach Nick Saban, 5 national championships over the last 9 seasons. That's why there's such pride here in Alabama. For Kirk Herbstreit, Joey Galloway, and Holly Rowe, this is Adnan Furth. Thanks so much for watching the Alabama spring game. Crimson over the white team 24-12. Good day from Bryant Denny.
The Miller 4-star, Jalen Hurts, Eric Keith, and Deion
Take care. Bye-bye.